Heyo, John Lee Dumas here of Entrepreneur on Fire, the #1 business podcast, and you are listening to the How to Quit Working show by Jeff Steinman, where you'll hear insights, stories, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs who quit their job and started a business. Prepare to ignite.
This is the How to Quit Working show. Jeff Steinman believes entrepreneurship is the only true path to freedom. That's why he created the How to Quit Working show, where you'll hear stories, insights, and inspiration from lifestyle fanatics who left their soul-sucking 9-to-5 job forever. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and ultimate lifestyle fanatic, Jeff Steinman.
Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working show. Welcome to the first How to Quit Working show of 2015. You know, in April, I think it's around the middle of April of 2015, the How to Quit Working show will turn 2. We're going to have some kind of a party or something like that, but really exciting to be starting off another year of How to Quit Working. You know, when I reflect back on how far this show has come, how far How to Quit Working has come, and what How to Quit Working has become, you know, I was talking with a friend of mine, and, you know, it started out as this book. You know, it started out as this book that I wrote, and then I needed a way to promote it. So I said, well, let me do a podcast, you know, and I kind of threw together this show, really not with the amount of intention or effort that maybe I should have given it. And what happened was I kept finding that this show was getting such great momentum and I was getting such great feedback that I, a couple months in, started to put some real effort into doing a better job of creating the show. And it was one of those things that I never expected this show to actually become as big as it has. And it's been really, really fun to watch. And I don't know, as I kick off this first episode of 2015, I guess I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic about what's happened over the past, you know, almost 2 years with How to Quit Working. But, you know, the thing that I think is so interesting is that How to Quit Working isn't a book. It's not a podcast. It's not a, you know, it's not a website. It's not a blog. It has all of those components, but really what it's become is a movement. You know, How to Quit Working is something that appeals to so many people who are just tired of doing it the way that we've been doing it all of these years, doing it this way that just doesn't make sense. This whole idea of going in somewhere and doing something that you don't like for, you know, a huge portion of your life and then retiring 45, it just doesn't make any sense. And I'm excited and I'm proud to be part of creating something and moving something forward that is showing people a different way. I had a really interesting situation today. I was driving around on my way over to the office to record this show. I'm recording this on New Year's Day, January 1st, and I'm driving over here, and there's this property that I was looking at as an investment, and I drove by, and the owner happened to be outside, and we started talking, and he showed me around the property, and he asked me what I do. And I said, and his friend was there as well. I think they were getting ready to go get some dinner or make some dinner. And he asked me what I do, and I said, I told him a little bit, and I said, yeah, I've got this book called How to Quit Working, and it was so crazy because him and his friend just kind of stopped dead in their tracks. They're like, How to Quit Working? That sounds really interesting. And I told them all about it and told them about the website and sold a couple of books, interestingly enough. But you know, the thing that I think is so interesting is there's just such a great need for this message, and there's such a great need for folks to spread the message that there's a different way. You don't have to do it this way. Another thing that I got to talking with this guy, he's an entrepreneur as well. He's had a couple of retail stores around this area in St. Louis. He owns some property, and we got to talking about the whole idea that we tragically, I think, tell kids, which is that you should go to school, and then you should go to college, and then you should get a job, and then you should work that job for 45 years, and then you should retire. And I think the underlying assumption there is that company will then take care of you for the rest of your life. And I think if we're still giving kids that message, it's really, really important that we stop. It's really important that we stop sending kids down completely the wrong path, a path that is not going to work for them. I mean, the millennials, many of whom are listeners of the show, and I know exactly why, it's because the millennials don't buy that. They don't buy that crap. They don't believe that story, and good for them. They don't believe that story that their parents and grandparents were telling them of, you need to go get a job. They're like, no, I mean, this doesn't make any sense. We watched grandma and grandpa do that. It worked out okay for them, I guess, but they certainly could have been a lot happier. Looked at mom and dad, and millennials are probably looking at their parents, who are my generation, and they're looking at their parents, and in all likelihood, one of their parents at least has lost their job and has gone for months or maybe even longer without being able to find a new one, and they're really seeing that this whole thing doesn't work. And I love that How to Quit Working is about being part of the solution to that problem, being part of the solution to this whole paradigm that we set up. And I don't want to get into all of the detail about, my opinions and how that all started, but it all happened after World War II, at least in the US. The soldiers came back, and we had a huge boom in industry. We had a boom in spending, and companies were able to set up these pension plans, and companies were able to make long-term commitments to their employees to care for them. And I think that to a lot of folks that was appealing, and at the very same time this was happening, a lot of the entrepreneurial spirit that started this country in the U.S., and it's not just the U.S., but that's one good example. But the entrepreneurial spirit that started this company was dying in some ways, right? Because you had a lot of change. And during World War II, there was just a lot of things that were just very different than we were used to, right? So you had a lot of small businesses closing. You didn't have all the corner stores that you had, and we saw a shift towards this larger corporatization, really. And I don't have a problem with corporations, but I think that the real issue is when we rely on them to provide our basic needs. I don't think that makes sense, and I don't think that is secure. So my point is, I know that when I say all this stuff to you, I'm preaching to the choir. I know that you believe that, and you're totally on board with that, and you're looking for tools and resources to make your life more what you want it, more free, and more secure. Really, you're looking for more security, whereas a lot of folks would say starting your own business is less secure. Well, I think folks that listen to this show, we understand that it's about actually creating more security, not creating less security, because you're taking control. You're the one that now has control of your destiny. And I guess just to kick off the year, I just want to say I am so thrilled to be part of this movement that is called How to Quit Working. I'm so glad to have an amazing group of freedom fanatics who are excited about taking the world in a new direction and doing something that matters, and living your life to the absolute fullest, getting up every single day, doing something that you love doing, and not How to Quit Working isn't about not doing anything. It's about doing something that you really care about, that you really love, and that really matters. So I just want to express my extreme gratitude for you being here and being part of this. And I know that if you're here and you're listening to this show, if you've listened to this show for any period of time and you haven't unsubscribed or decided that it's not for you, if you're sticking around, I know that you're one of those people that believes in the vision of the future that I have, that is shared by most of the millennial population, and many entrepreneurs who want to see everyone on this planet living a better life, a happier life, a more fulfilled life, and a life that is full of getting more of what you want. Like if you want to travel, you should be able to travel. If you want to live in a big fancy house, you should be able to live in a big fancy house. If you want to drive an expensive car, you should be able to drive an expensive car. And having all of that choice is what How to Quit Working is about. So I know you're on board with that. I'd like to just ask you to just share this idea, right? I mean, share the How to Quit Working show, send people to howtoquitworking.com, invite them to subscribe on iTunes, invite them to like How to Quit Working on Facebook, whatever their thing is, but also share the idea, share the message of, what, you don't have to keep doing this thing, right? When you're standing around the water cooler or wherever you're at, out for cocktails at a dinner party, talking to your friends at your church, wherever, and you're talking to people and having this reoccurring conversation, about, my job sucks, and, I might get laid off next month, and I didn't get my bonus this year, all that kind of talk that we have that's so regular in our society. Use that as an opportunity to be an evangelist for this new idea. Now, if you haven't started a business or you haven't gotten to that place yourself yet, that's okay. You don't have to have experienced success or made any certain amount of money to be an evangelist for this message. And I think that's really our role as human beings, right? When we learn something new, when we learn that, there's a better way to do this, it's our duty to our fellow human beings to share that and to pass along what we learn about how to live a better life. And I know one of the things that I think is so interesting about all of these successful entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, like well over 100 at this point, is they're all so willing and eager to share what they have learned. I've got an interview that I'm taping early next week. I actually announced this in the private Facebook group. We're going to be talking to David Klein, who is the founder and the creator of the Jelly Belly jelly bean. Now, everybody's had a Jelly Belly jelly bean in their life, and I think they're quite tasty myself. I love a good jelly bean, and the founder, David Klein, he's no longer involved with the Jelly Belly company, but he did invent the product, and he has, since he sold his share since he sold the Jelly Belly company to a larger company, he has invented many, many products, and he's even been involved with creating trends in the candy industry. I mean, so this guy knows what he's doing. He knows the candy industry. He knows business. He knows entrepreneurship. And I shot him a message on Facebook, and I said, "Hey, David, would you be willing to come on the How to Quit Working show and share a little bit about what you know?" And he said, "Of course I would. I would be delighted to come on." In fact, I think his exact words were, "I would be honored to come on." And I think that what's so amazing about entrepreneurs is their willingness to share what they've learned, their willingness to just generously, kindly, and I have never paid one penny to any guest that's been on the show, and they are all willing to just come on and just generously share everything that they've learned, share their negative experiences, share their positive experiences, share the mistakes they've made. How many guests have you heard on this show that came on and said, "Yeah, boy, I just really screwed that up, and I'm going to tell you exactly how and why I screwed it up and what I would have done differently because I don't want you to make the same mistake." And I think that I say all that to really make the point that, you know what? If you've discovered something, you got to share it. You got to share it with other people. Um, when you discover something, a resource that's useful, share it with other people. Tell other people about it, because you know that's for one thing. Let's just be nice to each other, right? When we find something good, let's help our fellow human beings with that. And the other thing is that it's also kind of about modeling success, right? So looking at when as I've laid out for you, successful people are always extremely willing and excited to share what they've learned about being successful. David Klein being a great example. And if you want to be successful, you got to start acting like a successful person. Even if you don't quite understand why they're doing what they're doing, emulate it. Do it, right? I mean, that's how little children learn the basic things. They learn basic things in life by emulating their parents, doing the things that their parents do, right? Making the gestures, making the sounds, doing simple tasks. And the way that we learn doesn't change when we become adults, right? So begin to emulate the behaviors of successful people. And one great way to do that is begin by sharing the things that you learn. Share the ideas that you discover, and share them generously, and share them without worry that someone's going to steal something from you, or that someone's going to get ahead of you. Because really successful people don't think that way. They don't think in the way of, oh, I got to keep this to myself so that other people don't learn about it, and then I can be the one that's successful. No, successful people don't act like that. They don't think like that. What they do is they share generously. They want everyone to be as successful as they are. So share what you did learn, share what you discover, share this show. I'd be honored if you did that. But really share the idea, share what How to Quit Working is about. Because when I thought about how do we want to kick off 2015, I thought, you know what? We need to be more deliberate about realizing what How to Quit Working is and how extremely important it is to the furthering, to the betterment of society. I think as human beings, you look at what cavemen did back, whenever cavemen lived, and we look at what they did and how they acted, and what their lives were like. And I would argue that we have a better situation now. I think we're much better off than cavemen were. And it's because we as a human species have evolved. We've moved on, right? We take fire for granted, right? It changed their lives, right, as cavemen. But we take it for granted. We take for granted the fact that we can cook food. And that's for no other reason than that we have evolved as human beings. We've evolved to a point where we have fire and we know how to get that. We know how to create it, and we don't worry about it, right? So what we have to think about is, when we're looking at what civilization is like, let's just say 500 years from now, what is it that today we don't even have on our radar that the civilization 500 years from now will take for granted? And I certainly hope that we look back on this idea of working for someone else for your entire life. Now, we'll always work for other people. There's no, we'll always work for other people during transition periods in our life, during when we're young and when we're learning. I think working for other people, there's nothing wrong with working for other people at all. You can learn a lot. There's a lot of benefit to it. But the problem comes in when we make the decision that we're going to do that for our entire life, and that we're going to rely on someone else to take care of us for our entire life. That just doesn't work. So what I hope is that 500 years from now, we look back on this idea of career employment, this idea of lifelong employment, this idea that there's no other way. And we laugh at it. And we say, isn't that crazy that, for a while there, for, 150 years or so, we had this whole mentality that we had to work for somebody else, and that was the only way that we could survive, right? I hope we look back on that and say, wow, wasn't that silly? But we're in a much better place now, right? So that's one of my my many dreams for humanity is that we look back on this idea of employment for a career, for a lifetime, as being some silly little thing that we only did as humans for a while. And wow, didn't that suck? And thank goodness we have moved beyond it. And we've moved to a point where when we look at how do we support ourselves, how do we get the money that we need to live, we look at it from the standpoint of, oh, I figure out what value I can add to the world. What is the value that I have in me, or that I can create by pulling other things together? And I use my talents and my gifts and the things that I enjoy doing to pull together something that is of value to other people. I hope that's the way we look at the world in the future. So I want to just really quickly talk a little bit. So anyway, just to summarize that, tell all your friends about How to Quit Working. Tell anybody that you care about How to Quit Working, and tell them about this idea that you don't have to work a full-time job. There's another option. There's another way to do it. Tell everybody about it, because this is a movement, and I want to make this movement bigger and better and even more huge and massive in 2015 than it has been, because it's done more huge things than I have ever thought it would in 2013 and 14. So let's make it amazing and huge in 2015. Now, to jump into the topic really quick for the show today, I want to talk just really briefly about New Year's resolutions. And I think that New Year's resolutions, it's a neat concept. It's a cute idea, and it gets a ton of press right today. If you went out and looked at the news sites, there would be a million experts telling you how to make sure that your New Year's resolutions stick, and how to make sure that they actually work. And there's going to be all kinds of statistics out there about how many people fail at their New Year's resolutions, and I don't want any part of that. What I want to do is I want to give you a different idea, and that different idea is that you should be every single day of your life, you should be committed to making your life every single thing that you have ever wanted it to be. And if part of that is being a certain weight, making a certain amount of money, having a certain relationship, having a certain number of friends, having a certain relationship with your family, having a certain number of pets, having a big enough house, having a type of car, having a lot of money, whatever it is that you want, forget this New Year's resolution BS. Just figure out what it is that you want and wake up every single day committed to that thing, whether it's January 1st or August 27th or March 17th. It doesn't matter what day it is. Whatever the day is, get your butt out of bed and go make whatever you want happen. Decide what that thing is that you want and make it happen every single day. Focus every single day of your life on making that thing happen, not January 1st. Don't jump on that silly New Year's resolution bandwagon with everybody else who wants to play this silly little game of what's your New Year's resolution that you're probably not going to do. Oh, it's this. I'm going to lose some weight. 5 days later, I'm not even going to be, I'm going to have a mouthful of ho-hos. Whatever it is, figure out what you want. Get out of this silly New Year's resolution game, and make sure that every single day you get up and you do everything that you possibly can to make that thing happen. And you know what? You're going to stumble, you're going to fall down, and you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall off the wagon. I promise you. But the only thing that will make it happen is if you get your butt back up on that wagon and start trying again the very next day. If you stuff your face full of ho-hos on January 7th and you're trying to lose weight, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry that happened. But you know what? On January 8th, get up, throw the ho-hos in the trash, and eat a salad or do whatever you've got to do. Go to the gym, get right back on that wagon. We all fall off of that wagon all of the time. We have our practices that we do. Maybe that's meditation. Maybe that's a spiritual practice of some sort. Maybe that's just regular habits of doing things on social media or doing marketing activities. There's routine things that we have to do to maintain ourselves and our business and our family relationships. Maybe that's reading your kids a bedtime story, whatever those things are, those rituals that enrich your life and make your life everything that you want it to be. You got to stick with them. And the reality of it is you're going to fall off the wagon, but you got to get right back up on it. So forget about January 1st. It's a meaningless date. All it is just a day. It's just one of 365 days that we have in every year. The important thing is not what you do on January 1st or what you start doing on January 1st. The important thing is what you do every single day. February 28th is just as important as January 1st. September 22nd is just as important as July 12th, which is just as important as January 1st. I just pulled some random dates out of the air to point out the fact that a day is a day. And what makes you successful is not what you decide to do on January 1st. It's what you decide to do every single day when you get out of bed. So get out of bed every single day and ask yourself, first thing, what is the thing that I can do today? What is the biggest thing that I can do today that will move me forward and move me towards my goals, my business goals, my personal goals, my weight loss goals, my financial goals, whatever those goals are? What is the biggest thing that will move me towards those goals or that big goal that you may have in your life? So forget about this New Year's resolution crap and do something that really works, which is getting up every single day and doing something huge that will move you towards your goal. Now, I hope that's helpful for you. And before we get into our weekly coaching session with Heather, I want to just remind you that we do have this amazing group over on Facebook. It is at howtoquitworking.com/group, and that will shoot you over to Facebook. And if you click join group, you can jump into the conversation with a bunch of really cool people just like you, people who share this new mentality about the How to Quit Working movement. And you can chat with them. You can actually network with them and talk to them, get their advice. You can talk to me. You can talk to Heather. You can have access to this amazing community of like-minded people who just want to help each other. And it's really a wonderful place. I enjoy participating there. I know folks really get a lot of good focus and inspiration out of the group. So go to howtoquitworking.com/group and jump into the Facebook group. By the way, it's completely free. There's no cost to join. And a couple things that I'll just let you know about the group. I would like to remind folks that number one, the group is moderated. So we don't let any spam in. We don't let anything that's off topic in. So when you post something, it will take a little while, a couple hours, usually maybe could be as much as a day or so before that gets approved. And but go ahead and post. But we do that to keep the garbage out. We do that because we know that your Facebook feed is full of crap. It is full of all kinds of garbage. And what we want to do is we want to help filter that out for you. I don't want to add to that garbage. I want to only give you good quality information. Now, the other thing that I want to let you know about the Facebook group is that when you join it, when you click join group, nobody can see that you're in the group except for the other people in the group, right? So if you're Facebook friends with your boss or you're Facebook friends with your coworkers, they can't see that you've joined a group called How to Quit Working. And I can understand how you might not want them to see that. So feel secure. We've tested this and we've researched it pretty thoroughly. And we know that when you click join group, nobody else can see that you're in that group called How to Quit Working. And nobody except the members that are in the group can see what you post in the group. So it's very private. You will only be around people who are like-minded and who agree with our vision of the world and how it should be. So join us over at howtoquitworking.com/group. And now let's talk to Heather with this week's coaching from Heather Osgood, the How to Quit Working coach. Heather, take it away.
Hello, Freedom Fanatics. This is Heather Osgood. I'm so happy to be with you today. So I'm curious, have you ever had a reoccurring theme that just pops up in your life? I have had this reoccurring theme through the podcasts that I've been listening to and the books that I've been reading. And that theme is just do it. Just get started. Whatever you feel like is holding you back, just get started. So when I was thinking about putting together the show for today, I was like, what can I talk about? And that theme is here and it's just in my face. And so that's what I want to talk about today with you. I want to talk about just getting started, just doing it. And the reason that most of us don't do it, whatever that may be, is procrastination. I think procrastination is one of those flaws that as human beings, we all have. We always say tomorrow, or as soon as I do this, as soon as we refinance the house, then we'll landscape the front yard. As soon as I get a new car, then I'm going to take a road trip. As soon as I get that raise at work, then I'm going to save for retirement. As soon as my kids move out of the house, I'll really spend some time on my hobbies. There's always that kind of, if this happens, then I'll do it. And really that's just our reasoning. That's just our internal monologue telling us that we should, just wait, basically. Don't do it today. Just wait until time is perfect. Wait until everything aligns. And the reality is nothing ever aligns perfectly. If you're waiting for that perfect moment when you feel like you know everything that you need to know, when you feel like you've taken the classes that you need to take and you've really, done all the research you need to do before you either start a business or before you take a big leap in life, that moment is just never going to arrive. And so you really just have to step out and you have to take that leap of faith. You have to really just make that shift in your life. One of the reasons that we don't make those changes, that we don't make the shift that we need, is really old habits. Our habits are things that are constantly pulling us down. And everyone has a habit or two that they really could get rid of. When I think back to the time when my husband and I first got married, of course, we settled into our routines as a newly married couple. And one of our favorites was after dinner and after we cleaned up, we'd sit down and we'd watch TV, like every other American couple out there, right? Well, as soon as we started watching TV, what did we need to do? We needed something to eat. We both love ice cream. So we got in this routine where every night we would sit down after dinner, we would watch TV for hours and eat ice cream. What a wonderful life to lead, right? Well, it's pretty fun for a while, and then your waistline gets a little bigger and you feel uncomfortable because you're consuming way too many calories, and all of a sudden you realize that this isn't serving you well. Eating ice cream every night wasn't serving me well. And it wasn't a tremendously difficult habit to break. It was really just being conscious about it. It was saying, gosh, I used to eat ice cream a couple times a month. Now I'm eating it every night. So I had to be really aware of that habit in order to change it. So I encourage you to really examine your habits. Look at the things that you do day in and day out and figure out how to make a change. One of the bigger habits that most people have is procrastination. And there are a few reasons why people procrastinate. And I want to talk to you about that. So the first reason people procrastinate is just perfectionism. I'm sure you guys have all heard of perfectionism. It's really nothing new. But being a perfectionist is really this idea that you have to be perfect in order for you to do something. So you're going to put off till tomorrow what you could do today because you don't think that you're going to do it perfectly. I really enjoy acrylic painting. Now, obviously, having a family, running a business, I don't get a lot of time to sit around and paint, and I wish that I did, but I don't. On the occasions, which happen a couple times a year, that I do get to sit down with a brand new canvas and my acrylic paints, usually some kind of mellow music going on, I have in my mind this imaginary or image that I've created, this imagination of what this painting is going to be like. I have a very vivid picture in my mind, and then I start painting. And truth be told, as much as I enjoy painting, I'm really not all that good. And I'm not that good because I don't do it often enough. If I painted every day, I'm sure I would get better. And I'm sure eventually I'd be really good at it because I do love it and I do have a passion for it. So what happens is my painting never comes out the way that I imagine it's going to come out. It never reflects that picture that I have in my head. So I'll get halfway through the painting and then I'll get discouraged and I'll want to stop because because it doesn't look like I want it to look. It isn't perfect, and it's easy for me to abandon it. It's easy for me to say, this isn't working. I'm not good at this. I'm not going to do it. And that's what people do frequently when they're trying to start businesses. You start at something, you have in your mind this expectation you're going to be great at it. But the reality is that if you've never done something before, you're probably going to really suck. You're probably really not going to be good at it at all. But you have to take that step. You have to get in there and you have to do it. And like I said, if I painted every day, I'd be good at it. And if you start your business and you take steps every day, your business is going to get better and better. You're going to get better and better. You're going to refine your skills. But that can't happen unless you actually take the initiative to do it. So that perfectionistic procrastination is something you have to leave behind. When you start something new for the first time, you're generally not good at it, and that's okay. But I really believe that people have this kind of this thought in their mind, this imaginary thought that they are going to be good at it. And what I found frequently is that when you're an employee, for years, you have been looking at your boss, you have been looking at the company, and you have been saying, these people do not know what they're doing. If I were in charge, this is what I would do, and this is how I would do it better. This is how I would do it different. And the reality is that when you actually get started, when you actually go through the process, it's a lot more difficult than you think. So in your mind, you have this idea that you could do it so much better than your boss, that you could do it so much better than your company is doing it. And then when you go down that path and you start your own journey to be your own business owner, it can be really challenging. You maybe aren't going to do the things that you thought you were going to do, or maybe you're not going to do them as well as you imagined you would. And the reason is you don't have practice. You haven't done it before. So you need to get that practice in order to be really good at something. The next reason that people procrastinate, I believe, is just time. People don't have control over their schedules. And that is a huge issue. If you don't have control over your time will control you. What I like to do is I like to wake up in the morning, I do prayer, meditation, and exercise, and then I write down my key goals for the day. After I've written my key goals down, I write down a timeline. And how I get those key goals is I have goals that I've created for the year, and then I reassess those goals monthly. Now, of course, this is super idealistic, and I don't follow it to a T every day, but I tell you, when I do that, when I work that system, I am so much more productive. And at the end of the day, I'm so much more satisfied with how my time has turned out. Now, every day doesn't turn out the way I want it to. Of course, things happen. Today, my aunt called, and I love my aunt, and I don't talk to her very often, and we can get kind of chatty, and I had a great conversation with her, but I talked to her for over an hour. That wasn't in my plan for the day. When I created my timeline this morning, it didn't say talk to my aunt for an hour. However, I have the ability to be flexible in my schedule, and I still was able to accomplish 3 out of the 4 goals that I had today. The only reason that I was able to accomplish those 3 out of 4 goals is because that's what I knew I needed to do. On the days when I don't create a framework for my day, I just wake up and I kind of just go with the flow. At the end of the day, I don't have a whole lot done. And it's because it's easy to go from distraction to distraction to distraction. The people around you can create emergencies for you very, very easily. And if you want to go from fire to fire and from issue to issue all day long, you can do that. But the reality is that isn't going to give you really the productivity that you need. So people really they procrastinate because they don't have control of their time. And if you don't control your time will control you. You have to put a system in place. Now, if the system that I've outlined isn't one that would work for you, if it seems too rigid or too overwhelming, which it probably would have been when I first started, I've obviously worked up to that after, I would say, probably 10 years of really refining the way that I can process my goals and my time management. But you need to create some sort of system. So So whether it's a paper calendar, whether it's a legal pad, whether it's a digital camera or a digital calendar on your phone or your computer system, whether it's a whiteboard, who cares what it is? Just put something in place. Be intentional about your time and know what you need to get done that day and take those little steps. Even if they're just little tiny steps, they're steps in the right direction. And if you put a whole bunch of little tiny steps together at the end of a month, of a year, it's going to move you forward. And that's what you're really looking for, is that forward momentum. So really consider that. The next thing that you want to look at is the reason that people procrastinate sometimes is because their heart's just really not in it. So frequently we might, come up with these ideas, but we're really not sold on the ideas. I believe that especially when you're starting a business, that can be an issue. You think that it's a good opportunity, you see dollar signs and you follow them. That is an issue that many, many people have. They go to a business, they think, hey, this business makes money. It sounds like a great plan. I'm going to do it. It'll be profitable for me. It'll get me out of my job. And they go down that path. But the reality is that if your heart's not in it, if it isn't something you really, really want to do, it's not going to be successful. If you're not clear on that purpose in life that you should have, and if you're not clear on really what you want and what drives you and what pushes you, it's just not going to work out for you. An example of this for me personally is that recently my husband came home and he said, I have this great business plan for you. I think that you should create a coaching system specifically for CrossFit gyms. Now, there's about 5,000 CrossFit gyms across the United States. There's 10,000 worldwide. And so instantly I think, what a great idea. The cool thing with CrossFit is that they're a total community. People love CrossFit. They're passionate about CrossFit. They're enthusiastic about it. They are just all in for CrossFit. And I thought, what a terrific business strategy. I could create a system that is specifically targeting CrossFit gyms and go and talk to those business owners, many of which are extremely passionate about the sport of CrossFit, but really when it comes to running a business could be struggling. And I knew that it was a service that I could provide and I could really offer a lot of help. In my mind, I'm thinking, what a wonderful concept. I see dollar signs, I see an opportunity to really make profit, and I think I'm going to go for this. This sounds like a good idea. Well, the reality is my heart wasn't in it. I just didn't feel the passion. And it kind of started to unfold for me. One of the first signs for me was I was like, I don't even know what to wear to a meeting. So I contacted these CrossFit gyms and I schedule meetings and I'm like, do I get dressed in workout gear to go talk to these people? Do I put on a business suit to talk to these people? I have no idea. And that should have been kind of a red flag for me. I work out a lot, but I'm just not one of those kind of enthusiasts. I don't run around in like the top of the line, like great workout clothes. My faded selection of yoga pants really probably wouldn't cut it for a meeting with some big buff CrossFit owner. So I just realized that there were a lot of obstacles for me and I was procrastinating on it. I was feeling like I wasn't really having a clear direction, and it was because my heart wasn't in it. As much as I love working out, and I'm actually going to start CrossFit here in a couple weeks, I am not a CrossFit enthusiast. It isn't something that I have passion for. It doesn't make me super excited. Do I love helping business owners? I absolutely love helping business owners, and I'm sure that I would love to work with CrossFit gyms. Do I feel passionate enough about it to create a system that is specifically designed just for CrossFit gyms? No, it's not a path that I want to go down right now. That's not to say I wouldn't go down it in the future, but at this moment, it's not a good fit for me. So it's easy for me to procrastinate on that because my heart is just not in it. So really examine your procrastination. Are you procrastinating on something simply because it isn't your purpose and it isn't where you should be? That can happen, and that's a reality and something that you really need to think about. It's at the end of the day, the reality is that you got to cut out the procrastination. Procrastination is just a total enemy to really being productive and being successful in life. What I really want you to think about right now is the internet is a massive place. And the only reason that you're listening to me right now is because of the internet. I want you to imagine that the internet is this group of people, this supportive nation of people that are all around you, that are lifting you up, that are giving you the tools and the resources and the support you need to go out there and accomplish your dreams, to start the business that you want. We are here for you. We are here to support you. And if you don't have people in your life right now that are supportive of you and your desire and your dream to quit your job and start a business, we are here for you. And not only just Jeff and I, but an entire community of people on the internet are here to help and support you. There is no reason why you shouldn't just get started. Today is the day. It's now. We're in a new year. We've got these great things that are on the forecast and on the horizon for us. All we have to do is just get started. So whatever it is, whatever obstacle you see in front of you right now, that obstacle is purely one that you are creating. You need to get clear on what it is that you want. You need to get clear on how to get that, and you need to just do it. Get up off the couch, turn the TV off, get off of your Facebook news feed or your Candy Crush game or your Angry Birds or whatever you're doing with your time that is really just throwing your life energy away, and get serious about making a difference. Get serious about how you are creating the legacy that you're going to leave. None of us knows what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know if tomorrow is going to be our last day on this planet or if we're going to live for 80 more years. We have no idea. So it is time for you to take action today, right now. Go out and do it.
And that is a wrap. That is the first ever episode of a How to Quit Working show for 2015. This was a fun one. I had a blast talking to you. I look forward to talking to you more in the Facebook group at howtoquitworking.com/group. And if you enjoyed that advice from Heather, you enjoyed what we talked about here, and you're really seriously ready to take your life to the next level, and you would like someone who has been there, who has done that successfully many times, then go to howtoquitworking.com/coaching and find out more information about How to Quit Working coaching and how that may be able to help you. Again, howtoquitworking.com/coaching. You know, nobody in this world gets anywhere in their life, I certainly haven't, without some help from other people, and that's what we offer here at How to Quit Working, because we're not just about books and podcasts and blogs and all that stuff. We're about really rolling up our sleeves and getting right in there in the thick of things with you and helping you to quit your job and start a business. So go to howtoquitworking.com/coaching, get more information about coaching, and I will see you next time on this another episode of this amazing How to Quit Working show, and we will move this movement forward even more. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.